I think Aaron Rodgers has been passive aggressive about this whole thing. I think he, in my mind, if he wants out of there, which I think he does, which a lot of people think he does, I think he's got to get some mud on his hands. And I think he's got to come out and say something to this effect. I love my coaches. I love my teammates. They're incredibly important. I love the fans, and I loved playing in Green Bay. But that time for me is over. I'm moving on in my life. I'm entering a new phase of my life. I'm getting married, and I am not going to be returning to Green Bay as much as that organization and those people have meant to me. Wish them the best. Good luck this season.
All right, welcome into the Chris Collinsworth podcast featuring our friend Richard Sherman. And yes, I do think we're going to have some breaking news about him very soon. We wish him well, and we'll talk to him very soon. Today, we have one of my great friends in the business, the emperor of breaking news, Mr. Adam Schefter from ESPN. He's done such a fantastic job. I've known him for a long, long time. And boy, do we have a great conversation, not only about the Aaron Rodgers situation, but the entirety of sort of his role in the media and the way that so much of what he says is the basis of everybody else's shows around the country, including mine in this case. Very powerful guy in the NFL right now, Adam Schefter, and he is tremendous, opinionated, and honest as he always is. So we're look forward to doing that. But before we get there, I've got some very big news for all of you. Fantasy football season is here, and you can prepare like the pros at PFF.com for 40% off any PFF subscription. Let me say that again. 40% off any PFF subscription with promo code SAVE40, S-A-V-E 40. You get access to PFF's Fantasy Football Draft Guide, complete with our player rankings and projections and our wide receiver cornerback matchup chart, which I use in the games, which is getting just a real tune-up this year. And 2021 College Football Preview Magazine is unlike anything else. I promise you, people at PFF know more college football. We have more college football data than anybody on the planet. The first edition of the 2022 NFL Draft Guide is in that, all of PFF's locked article content, and so much more. So you get all that for as low as $5.99 with the PFF Edge plan. And again, that is promo code SAVE40 and 40% off of any PFF subscription. Here we go with the great one, Adam Schefter. All right, joining me now is the great Adam Schefter. This is the guy that sort of set the standard now around the world as far as the information and how it gets discovered, how it gets presented. Dispensed. I like dispensed. That's very good. And so many of the programs at ESPN and his own podcast, I've had the pleasure of being on already. But this is the man right here. This is the guy that everybody's chasing, Adam Schefter, and it's good to see you, man. You look like you're a little sweaty, though.
Well, you're the man, Chris. Yeah, I got off the treadmill this morning. It's the summer. I can't stop sweating. It's a problem. You look rested and relaxed. So clearly you got your run in well before I got mine in this morning.
We had just a common conversation. It's like embarrassing because especially during football season, like we're all trying to cram stuff in, right? Yep. We're always trying to do 10 things before the next meeting. And so running is one of them. But it is embarrassing because even though you get out of the shower and you dry off and you're whatever, put on your stuff, and like half an hour later, you're still sweating like a pig, and people are like, what, are you nervous? Are you like, no, man, I just finished a run. It's awful.
It doesn't stop. But you look good, Chris, and you're the master, and I appreciate having me. It's an honor to be with you as always.
We are going to fire away. This is like speed dial with Adam Schefter. I love doing this with guys that that know the league as well as you do. And I'm just going to kind of, I put it out on Twitter today. I said, all right, I got to add them on. Give me some questions. What do you guys want to know? And all that kind of stuff. So you know what popped up to the top of the list? Of course, Aaron Rodgers. It's what's the number one concern. I've seen him play more golf in the past week than I saw him play football. But this is the question now. And it is, we're down to it. You know, Adam on the golf course the other day said, hey, I'm going to make some decisions in the next couple of weeks, but that's about as much as we know. He played golf in the whole Tom Brady thing out there in the mountains. But here we go. I mean, there's no more time on this one, right? I mean, somebody's got to make some kind of a move, and it feels like Aaron Rodgers is first up.
Well, let's be honest here. Okay, I think he can step around it all he wants. But the fact that he hasn't come out and said to Brian Anderson or the people that interviewed him in Tahoe, I don't know what this is about. I'll see you in training camp on the first day. Has he said that? Everything is like a couple weeks. We'll see. I'm making my decision. Let me break it to you here, okay? In his choice, in his mind, he would rather not be there. He doesn't want to be there, but he's kind of stuck because the Packers have his contract. They can make this messy, and somehow, some way, both sides have to, and I'm sure will, try to figure out a way around this, whatever that is. And that all of a sudden becomes, to me, the central storyline that hangs over training camp because he doesn't want to be there. He doesn't want to be there. And now it's up to everybody to figure out what they can do to address that. Can the Packers do something to appease him? Well, I guess what I would say to that is they've been talking to him about this all off season, and we still don't have final resolution. There are people that I spoke to. I'm like, well, what do you think is going to happen? And they're like, he's angry. It's very hard to play with an angry quarterback on your team. So there's an issue. They're still trying to figure it out. And like I said, that becomes the central storyline that hangs over NFL training camps, Chris.
Is it hard to have an angry quarterback? I would argue the other way. I would say he was angry last year and he was the MVP. You know, I know when they drafted a second wide receiver and I then knew that they were beginning to phase me out, I had one of my best years in the NFL. Is it necessarily a bad thing that Aaron Rodgers is angry?
You know, again, I was talking to some people over the weekend. Someone shot me a text and they said, I'm reading to you, I don't know how a team plays with an angry veteran quarterback. Now, you had your experience. We saw what he did last year. So there are all different perspectives on this, and we don't know which one actually is right or will play out. But there are some pretty credible people who said that to me, and I don't know what's going to be right. And I don't know what's for mine. And by the way, we don't even know that he's going to play for that team again. We don't know that yet. Right?
Can money fix this? Because whatever it is, money can fix everything. So let's go crazy.
I don't believe this is a money issue.
All right, let's go crazy with money, though. Let's go crazy for 1 second, all right? He's MVP of the league. Tom Brady's already proven that you can play till 44, 45. So if the Green Bay Packers trade him away, it's possible he goes to Denver, he goes to wherever, and they win championships, and Green Bay looks foolish and the whole thing. We are coming up on new salary cap dollars, right? And it's one of the
Big
things
dollars
that we're starting to see the Josh Allens and the Baker Mayfields of the world. They're going to get paid. Lamar Jackson, they're going to get paid. And they may well get paid what Patrick Mahomes got paid because the scale has gone up. So could they come back and go, what's Aaron making? 35, something like that, whatever it is now. And go, hey, we're going to make you the highest paid quarterback. We're going to go to the $50 million range. We're going to, there you go. Be happy.
Again, sure, they could do that. And yes, who doesn't like money and who doesn't like to be the highest paid at their position? I got it. It just has never sounded like it's about money. And yes, as people say, it's always about the money and money can solve things. I think this is much deeper than that. I think this is, as he himself has alluded to, about people, about culture, about the way the organization is and has run. And I don't know that money addresses that. Now, maybe they step up and they say, Aaron Rodgers, we're going to make you the highest paid player. And he says, okay, that's it. I think this is somebody who looks at things differently than that. I think he's made, Chris, a ton of money. He's going to make a ton more. Does it matter if he's got 200 million in the bank or 220 in the bank or 250 in the bank? I don't know. Maybe, I'll never know that. So
maybe
no,
if you come to work for PFF, you might. I gave you a big pay raise.
Well, no, that's a story for another day. So we'll see. I don't believe that money is at the root of his discontent.
Is it all about Brian Gutekunst? Is it as simple as if he's
I think that's overstated. I mean, look, again, could their relationship be better? I'm sure it could. I think, people haven't talked as much about the president, Mark Murphy. And I think it's about him as well as it is the GM and about the organization. And let's also remember this. He's getting married, right? He's entering a new phase of his life. So there's a whole host of issues there. And it's interesting because we're probably just scratching the surface of what's going through his mind. There are probably a lot of other things that we don't and may never know. Like when Tom Brady left New England, people scratched at certain things, and I don't believe they ever really got in depth as to why he left. And I don't know why he left. But these things build up over time. Like scar tissue. Aaron Rodgers has been in Green Bay for 16 years. Tom Brady was in New England, 18 years? And so there's a lot that unfolds. Just think about anybody in any job, in any office for that amount of time with that organization, right? There's good and there's bad. And certain people remember the bad. And Aaron Rodgers obviously remembers enough bad, whatever that is. And it's built up in his mind. If you gave him truth serum and had him spell it all out, I'm sure it would be fascinating. Unfortunately, we probably will never get the full detailed version of what's irritating him and bothering him and driving him out of Green Bay. But I do think the president is a part of that. I do think the GM is a part of that. I do think the way they handled the Jordan Love situation, not Jordan Love himself at all, but the way they handle that situation, that's a part of it. And who knows what else? Getting rid of certain teammates, not having certain guys. There's a lot of things.
Basically, he wants in on the conversation. I mean, as best as I can understand
Seems that way.
He wants in on the conversation in the same way that Bruce Arians in Tampa Bay with Tom Brady is going to say, hey, he's like a coach. We're gonna do whatever he likes. So if he likes somebody, we're going to bring him in. We're going to take a look. We're going to, which is, I think, a big part of what Tom wanted when he was in New England and probably wasn't a part of those conversations. He is now. And not only that, I get the feeling that Arians is making it very public that Tom Brady is in on every conversation and every decision to try and drive Aaron Rodgers to Denver and out of the NFC, which is a great strategy too. So there's just a lot of different things that go into this, but it doesn't matter anymore, right? What matters right now for the Green Bay Packers and for Aaron Rodgers is this resolvable? Is there something that makes this work for you? And if not, do the Green Bay Packers, is it in their best interest? Can you make the argument? Because I think I can from a football standpoint, if you get the right package in return, it could work out great for the Packers too.
Well, here's the thing. If he's as stuck in his ways as he seems to be, then that might be the alternative that they don't want to confront, that they have to confront. Because if this turns into a public standoff that it looks like right now, and they say, we're not trading you, and he says, well, I'm not coming in, and he doesn't show, well, somebody's got to give at some point in time. And so he becomes an asset to them, an asset that would be in great demand. And you'd never want to trade a Hall of Fame quarterback. But they did draft and move up to take a quarterback that they believed in. Aaron Rodgers is, 38 years old. I mean, if you could get a boatload, I don't like the idea of it, but in their situation, it might be. an alternative to explore and consider.
Would they ever just let him retire? In other words, in my mind, the only thing that kills Aaron Rodgers here, right? He's either going to play in Green Bay or he's going to play for somebody else. Mm-hmm. But if he plays this thing out long enough and they just go, okay, retire. That's a tough spot for Aaron.
Right. And I don't think he wants to do that.
I don't think he does either. I think that's the last thing he wants.
But Chris, I don't think he wants to play for them either. So which one does he not want to do more?
Agreed. So if you really want to play hardball with Aaron Rodgers, you have to take away football from him. The Green Bay Packers can take away football from Aaron Rodgers. You don't want to play here?
And he can take away their chances of winning the Super Bowl this year.
Agreed. I'm totally agreeing with you. Yeah. But it depends on who wants to play the hardest. And we were talking a little bit off the air, and the fact that nobody has taken that first swing yet, right? Nobody's taken the first punch as to, I'm going to play hardball. I'm assuming it's going to lead up, and Aaron's not going to show up for the first day of training camp. There's going to be X period of days that's going to go by where he's still not showing up, and they're still battling this thing a little bit. And then somebody's going to take the first swing. Who takes the first swing, and what is the first swing?
Well, inevitably when these things go on, bad blood builds up over time. It just does. The guy's not there. Remember when Le'Veon Bell didn't show in Pittsburgh, and after a while the teammates started making comments about him in the media, and it became a little negative, and he got mad, and it helped drive him away. These things typically over time, they don't improve. They don't get better. They get worse when the guy doesn't show. And I felt this all along, okay? I think Aaron Rodgers has been passive-aggressive about this whole thing. I think he, in my mind, if he wants out of there, which I think he does, which a lot of people think he does, I think he's got to get some mud on his hands. And I think he's got to come out and say something to this effect. I love my coaches. I love my teammates. They're incredibly important. I love the fans. And I loved playing in Green Bay. But that time for me is over. I'm moving on in my life. I'm entering a new phase of my life. I'm getting married. And I am not going to be returning to Green Bay as much as that organization and those people have meant to me. Wish them the best. Good luck this season.
Okay, and then here's my press conference if I'm Mark Murphy or Brian Gutekunst.
Yep.
Aaron Rodgers has been a fantastic player for us. He's won us a Super Bowl. We love him here in Green Bay. We will always love him, and we wish him well in his retirement. Goodbye. Now what? Okay. Now what happens?
Rodgers comes out and says, okay, that's even trade me. I want to be traded.
No, we're not trading you. You're playing for the Green Bay Packers. You're playing for nobody. You're under contract.
No problem, Mr. Murphy. I'm gonna go host Jeopardy, and I'm gonna go explore the ventures. And good luck with everything.
We wish you well, Aaron. You've been a great asset.
Thank you for squatting on me and not getting back 3 first-round draft picks and various players to help your own team.
Hey, we signed you to a long-term contract. You knew what you were signing. We knew what you were signing. We want you to play here. We don't want to play against you. If you choose to retire, that's your choice.
And now you have this situation just hanging over you where you have an asset that all your fans know you get back. But because you're going to be spiteful, because you want to show me who's boss, you're not going to improve the Green Bay Packers because you want to wish me luck in retirement. Okay, good luck with that, Mr. Murphy, as your team is flailing behind Jordan Love playing quarterback.
I got it. But my answer would be, we don't want Jordan Love playing quarterback. We have you under contract.
I'm not playing quarterback for you.
Well, I understand that. Good luck to you.
Good luck to you.
We can play this out a million different ways here, but that's the essence of what the two choices are.
It's in everyone's best interest to sit down and get this together and figure it out.
Yeah.
Right.
Get your butt in here, put on your helmet, and come play.
But I don't think they're going to. Well, we'll see. We'll see if they can persuade him to do that.
How much do you think his teammates will get involved here? You've been through a million of these situations. There's
Not
got to
very
be
much.
some of them that are now going, dude, we have been one game away from the Super Bowl 2 straight years. We are right there. You have to come in here. We have to finish this thing off.
First of all, you can. I mean, they could say that, but as much respect as he has for David Bakhtiari and Aaron Jones and Mercedes Lewis and whoever it is that's there that he's played with for a long time, that he's got great respect and appreciation for, they can't tell him what to do with his life.
Oh, they can't tell him, but I'm just saying you're going to bring some pressure. And the other part of it is, has Tom Brady screwed the pooch here? Has Tom Brady going and winning that Super Bowl in 1 year led to where this is now going to be a common occurrence?
Well, I don't know that it's a common occurrence, but I do think that there's Tom envy across the league. Absolutely. Like, I think that played into Russell Wilson during the offseason when there was that period of discussion that Russell Wilson was unhappy. There was a big report in The Athletic about the tension in the organization. There was the request from the agent about the places that Russell would accept a trade to. There was all that discussion. And I think some of that is born from Russell Wilson being at the Super Bowl, sitting there, watching Tom Brady leave New England, go to Tampa, be able to do whatever he wants, bring in whoever he wants, and then go in the Super Bowl. Hey, I want to do that. I want to bring in who I want a voice. I want to say, I want the respect and love that Tampa has shown Tom Brady. And I want that championship. And I want to do it my way. So, yeah, I think there's a part of that with Russell Wilson. I would imagine there's a part of that with Aaron Rodgers. You know, he thinks differently. But I would think that, yeah, he sees that. Everybody sees that. Who doesn't want it done their way?
And from the player standpoint, now they're saying, listen, nobody knows this team. Nobody knows this offense better than I do. And you guys are sitting up there in the front office and you're doing your thing. Give me a chance to tell you what that last missing piece is. And you don't even tell me that you're not drafting somebody to help me in the first round. You don't even tell me you're going to take a quarterback in the first round. I could see why he was mad. There's no doubt about that. I could see, because it's embarrassing. Because now all of a sudden you're getting phone calls about, hey, what's going on? Did you know about this? No, I didn't know anything. It's embarrassing. It is. So I understand it. I understand it from both standpoints. I still, in my heart, for whatever reason, I'll still be stunned if he's not the quarterback of the Packers this year.
So you think he's going in there?
I do. I don't think he'll have enough choices. And I think around the league, and I know this sounds of collusion, and I don't probably mean it that way, but I think there's also a bit of unspoken rules out there about, okay, if everybody whose contract dispute is getting made public and all these other teams start bidding on these players, everything's going to hell in the National Football League. And it's like, the minute you take one of mine, I'm taking one of yours, and now we've got Armageddon on our hands.
I don't know about that, because I think that's gone on through time. But in terms of him playing this year, again, we need to know how strong his resolve is, how deep his anger is, how far he's willing to go. And I don't know that we know the answers to those questions. Again, I got a text a few weeks ago. He's dug in. What does that mean? So he's dug in what? Till they go to camp? Till the regular season begins? Perpetuity going forward? Like, what does dug in mean? I don't know. We'll see, right?
Have you had a story that had the kind of legs that this one has had? I mean, not only was it the story of draft night, and I know how hard you had to work on that story, and I've gotten a million questions on Twitter for me to ask you about how all that
Ask
happened.
anything you want. Yep.
You know, how all that happened, but now it just carries on because you are part of this story now. You know, I got one question. Have you and the Green Bay Packers made up? I mean, people want to know of the process of how all this happens.
Yeah, I don't have any issues with the Packers at all. Again, it was just me doing my job. And whether that story came out on draft night or the next week, it was coming out when he didn't show up to mandatory minicamp for the first time a week or two later. The chain of emotion, the chain of events, again, it's not necessarily fun or interesting for people to hear how the sausage was made, but I think some of it got completely misconstrued somehow, some way. The night before, the 49ers called the Packers to see if Aaron Rodgers would be available. When I heard that, it validated many of the things that I heard. I got on the phone the next morning, called various people. And again, if I knew, again, that I was going to do it that draft day, like I said, I was making calls all that morning. So much so that when we started NFL Live at 3 o'clock, I still didn't have the story ready yet because I still needed to speak to 2 more people. The story ran, if we go back and look at the tapes, in the B's, in the second segment of the show, because in the first segment, I was still buttoning it up and checking in with various people. Now, people think that this story was just thrown out there on draft day because, again, when I was on Dan Patrick, I gave an abbreviated, condensed version of the events that unfolded because I frankly didn't think that people cared about it. But all of a sudden, it became Adam Schefter's making this up. I said there was an accumulation of information, which there was over months of time. That was validated the morning of the draft with different people before you go. Do you think you just go on air and just say something like that? No. And again, I was cross-checking and fact-checking all the way till the start of the NFL Live show at 3 o'clock into the start of the show, which is why the story was not ready until about 3:15 or so at that point in the day. The whole thing is just weird. It just seems like, I don't know, certain people don't want to hear that he doesn't want to be there, but he doesn't. And now we'll see how it plays out.
It's interesting. Your position and my position sometimes are similar, but not the same. So if I criticize a player or an organization or whatever during the course of the broadcast, that becomes the story, right? And typically reporters will then use what I said as hey, Chris Collinsworth said, da-da-da-da-da, can I get a comment on it, right? So I'm the point in the middle. And I know that happens to you as well. Because then that is their approach. That's how they get in for the next question. How bad is it on occasion? I mean, do you have people that are just really mad with you? Have you just completely lost relationships? Is there no going back with certain people that you've had to deal with?
It's a great question and it's a fascinating topic. And what I've learned over time is, look, there's no hard and fast rules, but I've learned that if I say something on air, sometimes it'll turn into a story. Like, I'll be like, we're talking about Aaron. Aaron, you say he's coming back, Chris? No way. And then the headline is Adam Schefter says, no way Aaron Rodgers is coming back. And we're just talking, right? Yeah. And so I've become more mindful of the fact that anything I can say at any time somehow can turn into a news story. Like, that's happened before. There have been many occasions where this happened. And so I try to choose my words even more carefully than I ever have before in regards to everything. I'll say, well, when you talk to people around the league, they say Tom Brady, they don't believe Tom Brady will be back. Or when you talk to people, they say that Aaron Rodgers is not happy. There's so many people. That's become accepted. But I try to frame it and attribute it so that people don't know. And then I'll say sometimes you could say, hey, who's going to start for the 49ers at quarterback? And I would say, well, I would guess it's going to be this guy rather than, Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be the opening day starter. And then the headline is ESPN's reporting Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be the opening day starter for the Wait, we're just talking as colleagues, as friends. And so, the lines become blurred, but because that's my job to report information, I recognize that anything I say like that can be attributed. And so I try to be more careful with the things that I say, attributed certain places. I hope I'm explaining it the right way.
Yeah, but I mean, the interesting part about you is there are information guys and there are people like you who also can tell a story and are great on the air. So ESPN rightly is going to make you a featured part of almost everything that they do. How you sleep at night, I have no idea. They keep you pretty busy over there. But, it is. So it's like, how do you do both? How do you become, this is when I'm reporting and this is when I'm discussing, but not reporting, and how in this world of social media that can get completely turned on its head?
What I try to do always, and this is the one thing I love about my job, is I try to stick to the facts. I try to stick to the facts. Does it always happen? No. But my job is information-based, factual-based. And so if I'm saying something, way more often than not, it's been information that's been vetted, cross-checked, or discussed with somebody. I'm not going to come to you and we're going to talk about Aaron Rodgers and I'm going to have a misinformed opinion or informed analysis, right? Maybe that's another way of looking at it. Informed analysis, fact-based, informed analysis, however you want to look at it. And by the way, I could say, Mac Jones, we could talk about Mac Jones when the 49ers traded up. They traded up with the idea that they were comfortable drafting him. And a lot of people say, okay, well, they didn't pick him. You and the other people out there got it wrong. No, we didn't get it wrong. That's where they were at. When they traded up, they were entirely comfortable with the idea of taking Mac Jones at the point. That's informed opinion. That's fact-based, whatever you want to call it. But things change over time, and they shift.
Things definitely change over time. Let me play speed dial with you a little bit here. Is that all right? So I've got some of these questions, and I want to pass them along. Deshaun Watson, your opinion, does he play football this season?
Well, that's the more interesting question than whether he plays for the Houston Texans. And I don't think he plays for the Texans again. I would guess he doesn't play for the Texans again. They've moved on, in my own mind. They signed Tyrod Taylor. I mean, they're giving Jeff Driscoll $500,000 in guaranteed money. They're using their first pick in the draft, which wasn't until the mid-rounds, on a quarterback. And in my mind, they've moved on, but I don't think they want to give him away until his value is restored, whenever that is. Maybe his value is restored next month. Maybe it's restored after this season. Maybe it's never restored. I don't know. We'll see, right? But I think that they're not looking to trade him away at 75% off or 25% off. They want the full return on Deshaun Watson and what he could and should get back before they move on. Now, to answer your original question, will he play this year? I'd love to know the answer. I don't have that answer. I think that's another one of those questions that hangs over this season.
Anything on St. Louis versus the NFL and that whole thing with Stan Kroenke?
That kind of, I know it was always out there, but I wasn't expecting it to be now. And not sure how that one plays out, Chris.
Yeah.
You're the guy that went to law school. You tell me.
I mean, who knows? It's too big. All right, Adam, I'm going to throw you a little curveball here now. All right. So we here at PFF are such admirers of yours and fans of yours. We knew that eventually we either had to sell the company and try to hire you, which is, I guess, impossible. We've taken our shot. Or we'd start our own little news division here. And we are pumped to introduce a young man, Ari Meirov, who is from MySportsUpdate, which is one of the hottest growing news and information sites out there. And yours, Ari, is one of the most incredible stories. But I first want to welcome you, but then I want to give one of my best friends here, Adam Schefter, a chance to formally welcome you to the club here at PFF and say hello.
Well, Ari, congratulations. It's a tremendous opportunity. You're going to a great company to work with great people. Chris is unbelievable. The people he's got working with him are outstanding. It's a company that just continues to grow. And you're somebody that has continued to grow over time, and you have earned this right. And Chris, I believe Ari, I know, are you still living at home, Ari?
I am, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's a guy, self-made, who's living at home, and I believe you're in the real estate business, right?
So I was in the real estate business. Now that I'm joining Chris,
Right.
I am leaving the business.
Okay, hold on. So you're leaving the real estate business. Are you moving out of your parents' home as well in Queens?
Officially, not yet.
No, okay. So
Not yet.
one thing at a time. One thing at a time, right? So we're leaving real estate, and soon we'll be leaving the nest, and then you'll be on your own. But here's what I want to know for all the people out there who have wondered how your Twitter site, how your Twitter handle, how you do the work that you do and stay on top of everything. And Ari is on top of all the things that are going on. Like, he'll see things that happen all across the league. Ari, would your worst nightmare, would your worst nightmare be Aaron Rodgers being traded Saturday afternoon about 2:30 in the afternoon?
Now tell him why. Tell him why that would be a concern.
All right. So I'm Jewish and I observe Shabbat. All right. And so many things have happened on Saturday that drives me nuts. And this year, the NFL made a move, which I'm so grateful for. They moved the cut-down day from Saturday to Tuesday, which means a lot of moves will not happen on Saturday anymore. The Khalil Mack trade, the Laramie Tunsil trade, the David Clowney trade, all these big cuts, all these big things happen on Saturdays. And I'm hopeful now that it's going to start happening on Tuesdays or Wednesdays or any other day besides Saturday, so I can be on top of it as well and not miss all these big moves that happen because I'm not around.
Because you're an Orthodox Jew, right?
Correct.
And practice. So you go out of commission sunset Friday night and are out of commission till sundown Saturday night, correct?
Correct, which is about 24 hours.
Yeah. So that's, you go dark. Now, I'm thinking, Chris, Ari might have the right idea. I might convert and become an Orthodox Jew so nobody can get at me for 24 hours from Friday night to Saturday night.
Well, no, you got to pick a different religion though, because you can't possibly both go offline, because then the whole world, nobody knows what's going on. You got to pick a different night there, Adam.
Yeah, no, listen, I have great respect for people like Ari who have as much belief in their religion, and that means that much to them. I think it's unbelievable. That's not me. I don't know whether I'm doing it right or wrong, Chris, but I went to the Masters this year for the first time, and my friends that invited me down didn't tell me till I got there, basically, that I had to hand off my phone and I couldn't bring it onto the course. And it was the first time in my adult life that there were 3 straight days, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, where I didn't have my phone for a 7, 8, 9 hour stretch. And all I could tell you is the first day that happened, I had the shakes. So I could understand what Ari's going through each Friday to Saturday night when he's going through that, in the one Masters experience I had, and the one time that I turned over my phone to somebody else.
I remember those 3 days, by the way, and I was like, there wasn't much going on, but I remember there was stuff going on. I thought Adam would be interested in. He wasn't posting about it, and he didn't put it on Instagram either. I'm like, what is going on over here? Then I listened to his podcast on Monday that next week, and he's like, I didn't have my phone for 3 days. I was like, how in the world did Adam do that? Yeah. Unbelievable.
I was hoping that there'd be nothing significant, and this is true. I mean, I literally remember the first day we showed up to the course about 11 o'clock. It was Wednesday. I walked the course with, do you know Kenny Dichter, the CEO of Wheels Up, Chris?
Sure, yeah.
Well, Kenny and I actually have Kenny on my podcast this week. Kenny and I went to high school together.
Wow.
And played on the same high school basketball team. And again, you see how smart I've been over time, because I've never invested a single dollar with Kenny Dichter. And if I had just done that and never worked, I could have probably been set for life. But anyway, Kenny and I were walking around. And I remember literally leaving the course, getting on there about 11:30, and then going to some restaurant to get like an Arnold Palmer at 4 o'clock, and ESPN's NFL Live was coming on. And I was kind of like watching it out of the corner of my eye. I'm like, what's the lead story going to be here? Did Aaron Rodgers quit? Did the Texans trade Deshaun Watson? Did somebody, flunk a drug test, some top prospect here in the drug, like what? And I'm like watching out of the corner of my eye. And the lead story was that the Atlanta Falcons have taken calls at number 5 from teams that are interested in moving up. And that was a story that I had filed the day before. And I saw that, and I'm like, I guess I didn't miss anything.
We're good. We're clear. You know what? You know what? The number one question that I got asked when I said I put it out on Twitter. Give me some questions for Adam. Which one do you remember the most that didn't happen? That you report a story that something went. Is there one that sticks in your mind that just didn't go right? Like, we all have had them. I certainly have had them in broadcasting. Mm-hmm. Is there one that before you go to sleep at night, it always pops into your head?
The one I would say that stands out to me is the RG3 trade. And it came down, I remember getting a call from somebody with the Rams that this trade was going to happen. It was on a Wednesday. And I called Washington and I spoke to Mike Shanahan and I said, so the trade's done? He said, yeah, it's done. I said, okay, can I report it? And he said something to the effect of, it's not finalized yet. We're still waiting the paperwork, but as long as Bruce Allen is fine with it, fine. And I remember calling Bruce, and Bruce was like, no. No. I'm not comfortable. I want to see the paperwork signed. I don't want it out there and other teams jumping in. And I'm like, Bruce, Stan Kroenke and Dan Snyder have signed off on this. Like they've agreed. It's happening, Bruce. And he goes, oh, we got to see. And I'm like, Bruce, he's like, just wait till Monday. This was like at Wednesday or Thursday. And I remember because that night, Steve Levy and I were being inducted into our high school Hall of Fame. And I remember being there and I was waiting for a call from Bruce Allen to say, okay, go ahead. Paperwork is signed, trades agreed to, whatever it was. And nothing happened. No call came. And then Friday night, 24 hours later, my friend Jay Glazer reports that RG3 was being traded. And I was like, okay, well, and so what I remember about that was that I was at the owners' meetings the next week, and Bruce Allen walked by and he said, feel bad. I want to apologize. I got something else for you. I said, what's that? He said, we just signed this punter named whoever, Mike Smith. You can report that now if you want. And I said, thanks, Bruce, you asshole.
There you go, Ari. Now you know exactly where it's coming from. We just spent 30 minutes talking about the Aaron Rodgers situation. All right, give me your take on how this ends. How does this whole thing end?
Yeah, so for me, first of all, when it happened, I remember that week after and how many people gave Adam a headache about this. And I was surprised like crazy. I couldn't believe it that people actually believe what people were saying about it. It just annoyed me because people really don't understand the job that you do and how much you go after and how many people you speak to and how many people and how long this has been going on for that you decided to put it out there. So that blew my mind in the first place. But as we keep on going, for me personally, I really have a hard time believing that this would happen, that a trade will happen, because I don't really think the Packers want to do it. I think the Packers obviously want to have Aaron Rodgers at least for another year at a minimum right there. So for me, I look at this and I have a feeling this is going to stretch into training camp and we're going to keep on talking about it and people are going to keep on having all their beliefs. But at some point, they're going to have to find a resolution because I don't see the Packers actually going out of their way and trading a player. And what they're going to get back is picks for next offseason in April where they can use those picks. And they're entering a year with players like Devontae Adams and Bakhtiari and Jair. They already have a team that is Super Bowl ready. To trade the reigning MVP for pieces you're going to have next offseason doesn't make sense to me. So I believe they're going to end up figuring something out. I really don't know what it is because I know Aaron is very strategic and he's very smart and he has all the money in the world and he doesn't need all of that. But I think he also cares about his legacy and his playing and all of that. And I also believe he doesn't want to become the villain in Green Bay out of all this. He doesn't want to look like Aaron Rodgers the way when he left Green Bay. He wants it. If he does get out of there, he wants to get out of there and then say, hey, I didn't do this. They did that. It wasn't me. They're the reason I'm leaving here. So I think that's what he wants in this scenario over here. And that's why he's been so quiet as well. He's not trying to make a whole a whole mess out of this and look like the bad guy. He's trying to point it to the front office, which I believe is the big problem there. And as of now, we're just waiting for something to happen, because in reality, we're kind of like in summer break right now. There's not much going on. I know people are trying to find stuff to talk about, like Aaron Rodgers is going to opt out. I mean, he's not going to opt out because he can't opt back in. Like, I just couldn't see that happening, right? So, like, I think we really just have to wait for training camp to happen, and then we'll eventually find out exactly where this ends up going and if they find common ground about what's going to happen. So I think he ends up playing for the Packers this year. They find the solution, but you never know with Aaron, because that guy is very strategic. He's very smart, and we'll have to wait and see.
That's a pretty good summation, Chris, and that's pretty much basically what we spelled out, right? I mean, Ari was right on that.
Yeah, it's the key thing is the guy that Aaron Rodgers is. We all remember him on draft day, right? That look in his eyes as team after team after team passed him. And then this happened with the drafting of a quarterback. There is a certain, the word disrespect is one that I hear a lot in the NFL when I'm interviewing players or when somebody's upset or whatever the case may be, that these guys feel like they've earned some level of respect. And when that doesn't happen to their liking, it's almost like, how do you get out of an argument with your wife? How do you there are some things that's just hard to put the genie back in the bottle. And I agree with what Ari said. I don't think it's gotten out of control yet. I don't think anybody has said that one phrase that crossed the line and there's no going back. So my gut is he's still the quarterback of the Green Bay Packers this year. But every day that goes past, I'm a little less sure. So, Adam, the other question that I got a lot of is, will you have another Lambeau leap? Because a lot of people they want to see it.
Well, the Packers fans told me that I'm going to have beer poured on my head if I do another. They don't.
That's all right. Everybody gets beer poured on their head when you're anywhere close to them over there. It's like the old dog pound days.
And I appreciate Ari saying that he was surprised by that. I was surprised. I think it just got taken out of context to a certain extent where, again, Dan asked me for an answer. I gave a condensed version, and it turned into something that it wasn't, where you have people saying, I made it up on draft day, I didn't have sources, or like none of that could have been further from the truth. And I didn't time it for draft day. It just happened to be that. I mean, just the whole thing was just weird. And so thank you for that.
Is this can I ask you a question? Is this the offseason that you've had where you've had the most people taking stuff out of context with you? I feel like you've had a lot of that this offseason.
We were talking about Chris asked me about that. What give me other examples, Ari. Like, why do you say that? Like, because you're good with this stuff.
Okay, Odell Beckham Jr. and Tom Brady want to play together in Tampa Bay.
I never said. I know
you never said that. It was out there like.
Well, I'll tell you what happened there. Basically, we were talking on Get Up, and I don't remember exactly how it came up. They were asking me. I think they might have asked me, could that ever happen? I'm like, Odell Beckham and Tom. I don't remember exactly, but I'm like, I don't see that. Anything is always possible, but I don't see that happening. And all of a sudden, it becomes I'm reporting that there was. I'm like, how did that happen?
I watched it back. You didn't say anything close to that. And then it was just all over the place. And I always, whenever I see something out there, like a graphic or something, I always make sure to go check back to see what the guy said.
This is why I love it, because he understands exactly. He's tracking where it's coming from. Okay, there's another example. And I think what happened is, and I've spoken to our social media team about this, they'll see a clip and they'll post something like Adam Schefter talks about Odell Beckham and Tom Brady linking up. And then it takes on a life of its own. I didn't say anything like that.
Yeah. I think there was also if the Chan Gailey and the Dolphins happened this offseason with you. I don't know. I just don't remember it happening that often.
Well, I think it is weird. And I think people are looking, again, like I said to Chris, but I try to pay attention to everything I say. And the Aaron Rodgers one, that turned into something that I didn't understand how it got to the spot it did.
I'll tell you why. People are looking for content. They're dying for content. They need anything to post. And because of that, anything you say, because you are the top NFL person, they're going to go out there and make the link and make the graphic and do whatever it is just so they're able to get that exposure and the retweets and whatever it is and the following. And in reality, you're not even reporting anything. You're just talking like a normal person. But like, because you're the NFL news person, like anything you say is now like the thing that they have to go with. And it's unbelievable. And it really got out of control this offseason.
Yeah, that was the headline. So Adam Schefter had no sources on the Aaron Rodgers story. I'm like, what? Like, no, so like, do you think that I would ever go with that story without talking to multiple people in multiple areas? Like, do you think I would ever do that? How does it become I had no sources and didn't talk to anybody? Like, it's crazy.
It was unreal. I couldn't believe it myself, but.
Hey, Ari, I want to know from you, because this is honestly the first time you and I have talked. So this is a post-hiring interview here. What was your moment? What was the moment that kind of put you on the map with your over 500,000 followers now? And what got you jump-started?
So I started in 2013, and back then Twitter wasn't as big as it is now. But for me, I was always an avid NFL fan. I used to track every free agency move and report. The draft was and still is my favorite event. And I was like, there are so many different places where news comes from in the NFL that it's impossible for the average fan to actually just keep on tracking everything and to be updated. So I told myself back then, let me just try this. So I started in 2013, March of 2013, when the free agency started, and I was doing it. And I felt it was a fun thing to do. But in reality, for the first 2 or 3 years, there was nothing there. Like, there was not a big following, not many engagements, not much exposure, but I kept on doing it. I enjoyed it. NFL news was my thing. Growing up, I used to really watch these NFL reporters and see how they break news and how they're, always on top of everything and how they're committed to the grind and all that. And I was fascinated by that thing. So I started in 2013, 2014, 2015, 2016. 2016 is really the first year where I actually felt it, that people were actually looking at this. Players started following, a couple of reporters here and there started following. And eventually, as I kept on doing the exact same thing, posting news that's relevant, that's notable, that's accurate, more and more people started following it, and eventually just started to grow into the point where a lot of these people have notifications on for the account, and they're like, everything I sent is important. Like, they want to know what's going on. So I actually have to be careful of what I'm posting now and make sure it's not something that's wrong or something they don't want to see or stuff of that nature. So over time also, like, I've really started to understand really what's real, what's not, what's fake, what's real, like all those different things I've started to understand. And where news comes from is another thing that I've started to know as well. For example, this offseason, Drew Brees retired. I had a good sense that most likely won't be reported. He's going to announce that himself on Instagram. So what you should be doing is go on Drew Brees' Instagram and like turn on his notifications and be ready for it. So like, I've kind of gotten a good idea of where things are coming from. And as I've been doing this over time, it's grown to a point where a lot of people enjoy it. A lot of people use it to get their NFL news. And, I don't really care about the followers number, but like whatever that number shows, the numbers that I see is actually way more people are actually checking it out and seeing what's going on and seeing what is being posted. It's incredible to the point that it's gotten to right now. And I don't plan on stopping anytime soon.
He does a great job, Chris. He really does. He's become a tracker of this stuff. He understands who's out front on the news, who's not out front on the news, what's real, what's not. He's got a great sense of these things. He'll see things sometimes that I didn't even know were happening. And so, hey, I didn't know that this team just cut that player, and they announced it on their website. Ari saw it, and he put it out there. And I have tremendous respect and admiration for the job that he does. He does a great job, and you guys made a great hire.
Well, my friend, nobody has played this game better. And Ari, all you got to just be like the guy down there. You just be like Adam. Just figure this thing out, because nobody has cracked the code on this game better than he has. And Adam, any parting words of advice as he now comes under the thumb of George Shahuri and the great guys?
Let me say this, Chris. He's done all the right. Like I brought him up to ESPN at one point, right, Ari? Like he came and visited, and we talked about the idea of hiring him, and I wanted to get something done. I thought he would have been a great addition to ESPN, and he doesn't come from the traditional journalist path, but he's carved his own path and done a great job doing it. And I congratulate you and PFF for having the foresight to give him the chance to do this. I think Ari's got a great future. I think, people come at their jobs from different paths. There's no right or wrong path to travel. Everybody gets to make their own journey. And anybody that cares about it as much as Ari does, that takes as much pride as he does, inevitably is going to be successful at what they do. And Ari has been and will continue to be because he cares about it. And it's a part of who he is and what he does. He'll continue to get beat on Saturdays, but that's something that he'll have to overcome.
That's always going to be true.
Ari, welcome to the team. Adam, I know you're going off to see your friend Peter King as well, and tell Peter I said hello. And it's always a pleasure, man. I never get to spend enough time with you, and always enjoy the conversations, and looking forward to cranking out another football season with you.
Chris, similar regards to the family. Ari, congratulations. And it's an honor to be with both you guys as you connect for the first time. Ari gets to meet his new boss. Chris gets to meet his new employee, and I get to eavesdrop on the whole thing.
Appreciate you, Adam. Thank you so much. You're the best.
There's nothing I like better than having a great conversation about the NFL with Adam Schefter. He is just simply the best. Also, so happy to welcome in Ari Meirov, who is our new Adam Schefter, if you will, here at PFF as we continue to put together our own news division. We are very excited about it and want to keep bringing you more and more and more football in any way that we can. So until next week, thanks for listening.